Tonight, one organization raises awareness for domestic violence.
Plus, find out why some students were breaking instruments yesterday. Stay tuned for TrojanVision Nightly News starts now.
From the high-definition digital production center on the Troy campus, with news from Troy University locations around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Nightly News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Nightly News for October 2nd, 2013. I'm Courtney Addison.
And I'm Judson Garner. Thanks for joining us this evening.
October may be a month known for tricks and treats, but this month is also a time to spread awareness about domestic violence. And one Troy University organization spent the afternoon doing just that. You may have heard of Project 19, a project where purple bracelets are sold in order to raise money and awareness for Hodgkin's lymphoma. But Wednesday, another organization on campus was giving out a different type of purple bracelet to raise awareness for another cause. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and Troy University's SAVE project is making sure all students are educated on the issue.
We're asking that students wear these bracelets throughout the month of October to show their support and just kind of raise the awareness and take a stand against domestic violence. And we're also giving out some brochures and flyers for more information about our office, what domestic violence is.
Along with raising awareness for domestic violence on Troy's campus, the SAVE project is also promoting a larger campaign, a campaign in which many celebrities and public officials are taking a stand for.
The No More campaign is a national campaign. It's just kind of raising awareness for domestic violence and sexual assault. Their symbol is actually a blue circle with a vanishing point in the center of it, and the blue circle symbolizes the domestic violence and the sexual assault, and the vanishing point in the center symbolizes a day when we won't have to deal with domestic violence and sexual assault like we do today.
When you think of domestic violence, you might assume this happens with married couples and in families, but what many students don't realize is that domestic violence is an issue that hits closer to home than we may realize.
This is obviously a very important thing, especially on college campuses. It's very underreported. A lot of students aren't really from here, and they come here and they're dating people that they don't really know. And it's just, we're at that dating age, and it's just more common than people realize. It is happening.
And if you or anyone you know is a victim of domestic violence, Carly says the best thing to do is to talk.
Find someone that you trust, whether it's an adult or a friend that you can confide in. If you need to talk to a counselor, that is what we're here for. But get help and get out of that situation and find someone to help you with that.
If you're interested in contacting the SAVE project, you can call 334-670-3700 or contact the group on Facebook at Troy University SAVE Project.
Well, it's homecoming week, and with all the activities going on, things can get a bit chaotic for some. Luckily, there was a soothing alternative last night as the Troy Percussion Ensemble tranced its audience with a unique performance. To some, this music may sound like it's written for a science fiction film, or it could be for meditation. Johari Harris says this type of music does tend to calm people down.
Steve Reich was also a master of tension and release, I guess. His music just makes you feel on edge the whole time, and right before you can't stand it anymore, it changes.
Troy University's percussion ensemble paid tribute to composer Steve Reich Tuesday night in the Claudia Crosby Theater. Harris, one of several students involved, says they're playing with minimal instruments, which allows for a certain sound to tell a story in a way that you just can't get from a full band or orchestra.
Just kind of get lost in what we're doing, but there's something a little bit different each time that kind of pulls you back in.
Harris says although this type of percussion performance is a part of a relatively new style, he wanted the audience to take away the value of Steve Reich's contributions to modern music.
Seeing how influential he was in finding percussion's identity in a chamber ensemble setting and how it changed over time.
And last night's concert was a part of the week-long homecoming activities. Up next will be the skit competition tomorrow at 7 in the Claudia Crosby Theater. And sort of on the same note, well, a musical note, when members of the Sound of the South break out an instrument, Courtney, you usually expect them to play it.
You know, that's the first thing that comes to my mind as well, but that wasn't exactly the case yesterday afternoon when a piano met a destructive demise courtesy of a few swings of a sledgehammer. Jacob Harrison explains.
Tuesday afternoon, for $1 per swing, everyone on campus was given the opportunity to relieve some midterm stress, and all for a good cause, of course. That is, if you aren't the piano.
Money will go to local music programs such as possibly Charles Henderson Middle School or High School or Pike Liberal School. And then a small portion will help take care of fraternity fees.
Who could possibly pass up the opportunity to take a 6-pound sledgehammer to a useless piano? I know I couldn't. However, I may need to work on my technique a bit more.
Look, you want to hold it like this, and then when you go down, slide your hand down. Okay. You gotta work today. All freaking day. All day? That piano doesn't want you to work anymore.
Many came out to relieve pent-up stress and frustration. And some had much more than others. Freshman Trevor Brown couldn't get enough of the piano's annihilation.
This poor thing needed to be put out of its misery. It was old and unplayable, so I was doing it a favor. You don't get many opportunities to smash the piano, so I spent, what was it, $8, I believe?
$8 quickly turned into 10. With one final swing, this poor piano was surely playing a symphony of destruction. Jacob Harrison, Troy, TrojanVision News.
And by the end of the day, $205 was raised through the Piano Bash.
And now taking a look at news from around the state. In Montgomery, Alabamians experienced delays like others nationwide in trying to get into the federal government's health insurance marketplace website on its first day. Visitors got the message that the site had lots of visitors or that it was unavailable.
And in Prattville, police have identified the skeletal remains found early last year, giving them a fresh clue in the cold case that dates to early last year. The remains are identified of those of 23-year-old Edward Barnes of Montgomery. Authorities are treating the case as a homicide.
In Auburn, an automotive supply firm is announcing plans to build a second manufacturing plant in Auburn. Auburn city officials say the plan is expected to create about 50 additional jobs for the Eastern Alabama community by 2015.
And still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News, Danielle Percival will have the latest when she joins us with sports.
Now Danielle Percival joins us for a look at sports. So Danielle, obviously this is homecoming week and Saturday is a very highly anticipated game, but you know there's some more Trojan sports and action earlier on if you need to get by before Saturday, I guess.
Well, that's right, Judson. There's still plenty of Trojan sports action to satisfy your appetite. Even one team that's going to be in action tonight, not here on campus, but here in state. So we'll get into all the details right now.
All right.
Though the football team came up just short against Duke on Saturday, wide receiver Wilson Van Hooser didn't. Van Hooser, a transfer out of Tulane, scored his first touchdown as a Trojan on a 40-yard pass from quarterback Corey Robinson. Now, it wasn't just the reception that was impressive, but also that dive into the end zone in order to make it. Van Hooser has 7 receptions for 101 yards and a score this season, but he says touchdown dives aren't the only thing he's responsible for in this offense.
I kind of forget the other ways I'm contributing, whether it's just drawing guys off of Eric or drawing guys off of Brian or Chitty or Chandler. And so, yeah, like touchdowns, what everyone sees. But I mean, probably more the me contributing is getting these other guys open as well.
The Trojans will take the field for homecoming this Saturday against South Alabama for a noon kickoff. And it's not just the football team that will be taking on South Alabama this week. Tonight, in fact, the volleyball team will be in Mobile facing the Jaguars, and they have the opportunity to win their first game in conference play. The Trojans are 0-2 after the opening weekend of Sunbelt play, as are the Jaguars. The Trojans were able to sweep the Jags last season, but head coach Sonny Kirkpatrick knows South Alabama brings a lot of talent to the court.
They're a good team. They're well coached. They've got some really nice athletes. A lot of young players on there. A lot of freshmen are making big impacts. And going down there, it's always a tough environment.
The Trojans and the Jaguars will hit the court tonight at 7 in Mobile. The Trojan soccer team will kick off the homecoming week sports action on campus with their second conference match of the season. The Trojans dropped their first Sun Belt game against Texas State 2-1 at home on Sunday. Their opponent on Thursday, Arkansas State, will enter the match having defeated the other Trojans in the conference, UALR, on Sunday. Troy is 4-4 all-time against the Red Wolves, and head coach Chris Bentley knows his team will be facing a tough competitive squad.
A lot of athleticism, a lot of ball moving up and down the field quickly, and we've got to be able to deal with it. They're usually organized as a team, take away a lot of space in the midfield, so we'll have to look for space maybe behind them. But, you know, those are things that I think we're ready for. We've seen in the non-conference schedule, and I think we're ready for now in conference.
The team will be in action tomorrow afternoon at 3 against Arkansas State at the Troy Soccer Complex. And after a weekend off, the cross-country team will be back on the road and taking their top 8 women and top 7 men for one of their biggest competitions of the season. The team will be in Louisville, Kentucky for the Greater Louisville Classic this weekend. For the women, this will be their first chance to run a 5K, which is the distance they will compete at for the conference championship. And for the men, they too will be running their championship distance of 8K. Head coach Jeff Jenkins explains why this meet was one he wanted his teams to take part in.
To start off with, it's the biggest meet that we'll ever run all season long. Maybe one of the biggest meets Troy cross country has ever run. It's got over 200, or right at 200 teams. So a lot of individuals. You got to imagine about 10 individuals per team. So we're going to see a lot of good competition, be able to measure ourselves directly with those athletes. And it'll be a good gauge to see where we're at and see where we need to go before the Sun Belt Championships coming up in November.
The team will be on the road for the Greater Louisville Classic on Saturday, and 1 month from today, on November 2nd, will be the Sun Belt Cross Country Championships on campus here at Troy University. So Courtney Judson, it's homecoming week, lots of sports action and a lot on campus. Of course, volleyball not at home tonight. However, they will be home Friday and Sunday with soccer mixed in there on Thursday to get everything started. Football on Saturday, there's a lot of opportunities for those fans that are coming into town to really get in on all the action here on campus.
There is so much going on this week. This is probably the busiest week.
It's definitely one of the busiest weekends of the fall.
Yeah.
So best of luck to all the Trojans.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Danielle.
Thanks, Danielle.